Good morning, everybody. So glad to have you here. I am going to go through a few things that cover questions I've had during the first week of this class and hopefully get you started off on the right foot. Most of you are doing really well, making progress so far through Module 1, and I am really looking forward to seeing your responses to the questions in the class course and your posts on Facebook. And I'm going to start today by talking you through why we do the baseline, how to take part and participate in the private Facebook group, and how to use MyFitnessPal effectively. And finally, I'm going to ask you to share your why, the big reason you're here, the thing that's motivating you to want to create greater health in your life. Okay. So why get a baseline? Some people think this is great. They're totally into doing it, happy to check their weight, take their pictures, take their measurements. And others feel resistant to doing it. And in my experience, the resistance often comes from a place of being unhappy with the current state of things and not really wanting to see in black and white what your reality is right now in terms of size and weight and so forth. And that resistance comes from the emotions we tie to being imperfect or less than what we expect of ourselves. And it's totally understandable. But what I'm going to ask you to do is to step outside that place of fear and embrace yourself where you are now, so that you can clearly recognize all of the changes that you are going to see in your healthy behaviors, the things that you do to create the health that you really want for yourself. So by taking your measurements, by standing on the scale, by taking photographs, you are giving yourself a point A. And what you do after this is improvement upon where you are now. And if you don't have that, it's really hard to measure exactly how far you've come. And when you can't measure how far you've come, it's easy to lose motivation. Oftentimes you think you're not making progress when in fact you are. And the only way to know for sure is if you have the baseline data to compare your progress to. So please embrace this opportunity. It's for you alone. You don't have to share that information with anybody unless you wish to do so. And if you'd like to do so, I encourage you to find your support, to find your people, and to share this journey. Okay. So we talked about the motivation as well. You know, when I have clients come into my office, I do these baseline activities in my office, and I ask them what their goals are and so forth. And then as we make progress throughout, you know, oftentimes people think, oh, I've only lost a pound this week, or oh, I wasn't perfect, I haven't been doing really well. But then I have my data and I can show them, look, you know, when you first came in, you had headaches, you were tired in the afternoon, this was your weight, were a couple of your measurements, and look at where you are now. So maybe it only looks like you lost, you know, some pounds that you didn't think was significant, but you've lost this many inches off your waist alone, and you sleep through the night, and you're not tired in the afternoon. And then when you compare it to the baseline like that, that is motivating. And you think, oh, it's worth doing. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep doing this work because I can see the progress. The third thing I see oftentimes, particularly in my classes, is that people have a fear of the scale. We attach judgment to ourselves and the number that we see on the scale. And when that number is not what we want it to be, not what we think it ought to be, then sometimes that creates emotions of sadness or frustration or anger or disgust. And those are obviously not helpful emotions, and but they happen nonetheless. And it's a difficult thing to cope with, but know that you are not defined by that number on the scale. It's just a starting point. Just stand on a scale, write the number on a piece of paper, and move on. You are you, and that number is that number. And you are just as good as you always were, regardless of what the scale says. And try to, give yourself some positive affirmations if you find yourself hating the scale. Also know that the scale does not tell you the complete picture, not of who you are as a person and not of your health in general. There are other measures of health and also of body fatness. The measurements is one of the ways that we do this. You could also do your body composition, measure your body fat, your lean body mass, and so forth. If you have somebody who can help you do that, maybe a personal trainer, that would be great if you have that to add in. But, the scale is affected by water weight and all sorts of things. And our body size and composition can change and improve without it really showing up on the scale. And the last reason that I'd really like you to go ahead and do the baseline work is that I want to help you celebrate. Every bit of progress that you make is worth celebrating. This effort is worth celebrating. And when you give yourself a pat on the back and when you acknowledge your progress, it helps. It helps you to continue moving forward. And know that each day that you work towards your health, you're making progress. We're not going for perfection. We're going for progress. Okay. So another thing that I asked you to record during the first week is your activity. And I know this seems like an arduous task, but it's helpful too. I want you to get an idea of how active you really are. And a big part of that reason is that your body weight has to do with how much energy you're putting into your body in the form of food and drink, and how much energy you are burning up through movement and activity. And so we want to get a pretty good idea of how active you are now and also what you're eating and drinking. So if you haven't done that already, that's okay. You can start today and just go through and mark off if you are doing something active or sitting or walking or whatnot on those energy expenditure baseline sheets. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to walk you through is the Facebook group. So you have the online course, which is here, and then you have the Facebook group, which is obviously on Facebook. Now, this is a private group. Only people who are taking this course can see your posts, or at this point, even see when you post on somebody else's. You're not allowed to share. You may notice that there's no share button. So if somebody posts something that you like, you can't share it with the outside world. So it's totally private, and you are with a group of like-minded, amazing people who are here to support you and help you, not to judge you. This is a great place to post questions, things you don't understand about the workbooks, questions you have about the activities that you're doing, and just questions in general that come up related to health and weight loss. It's also great to help answer other people's questions. You really want to create a sense of community for one another here. It's a place where you could post relevant, helpful content. So maybe things that are motivating, information that you see, that sort of thing. It's always nice to respond to other people's posts and support each other. And I also post questions in there a few times a week. And I'd love to get some feedback and some participation there as well. Creating this group support makes such a huge difference. People who attend a weekly meeting, and I think this counts as attending a weekly meeting, do far better in losing weight and keeping it off than people who do not. Okay, how to use MyFitnessPal. First of all, I'm going to show you how to create an account. Then I'm going to show you how to change your privacy settings, invite me to be your friend, and enter your food.